morning, everyone. Today is Thursday, September 14th, and I thank you so much for joining into our weekly HCR webinars. Hopefully you still find them informative. I can tell you that the last week and a half has been very head-turning, head-spinning, because there's a lot of activity going on, some of which will go somewhere and some of which will not. As you all know, probably by now, my name is Deb Wilkinson, and I'm the Vice President of the Health Plan Options Department here at URL. We run these webinars to keep you informed, give you the ammunition to go out there and be the most competitive consultant that you can to your clients. So hopefully, again, you find these informative. There are ways to ask questions within the webinars, and we encourage you to do so because all of us have questions and we all benefit from hearing the question and finding out the answer. So again, I encourage you to ask your questions, and you can do that in one of two ways. You can click on your hand icon on the control panel to the right of your screen, or you can type in your question in the question box at the bottom of the control panel, and I'll answer those questions at the end of the webinar. Just with a show of electronic hands, virtual hands, if you can let me know if you can hear me all right and see my screen, I would appreciate it. Awesome, great. Yeah, and as you probably all know by now, I struggle with technology, so I'm glad that I had the affirmation that you can at least hear and see me this week. So let's just jump right in. We talked a little bit a couple weeks ago, since we didn't meet last week because of our Medicare Connections and Leaders Conference. We did talk a little bit about the Senate Health Committee meeting, and they did indeed meet. In fact, on the 6th, the insurance commissioners all met with the Health Committee. Our former insurance commissioner, Teresa Miller, who is still in a position of power within the Pennsylvania legislature, she's actually overseeing a combined 3 agencies now, but she was the one that gave the testimony. I did include her testimony in the handout, so you can print that out, or if you just want me to email it to you, just let me know and I can do that as well. Basically, the point that unfortunately I thought she would make is that Pennsylvania is doing well. We have more insured folks than we did prior to the ACA. The only obstacles in its place to make it really thrive is the ambiguity of the cost share reductions and whether the individual tax penalty would be enforced. So, and you know, she did mention too that the cost of medications really is a factor. Well, you know, here we are, welcome to what, 2010. When we were all discussing that, and Big Pharma, I believe, pledged $80 million to support the ACA, and I'll just leave it at that. Anyway, I'll get off my soapbox, and her testimony is attached. I didn't expect that within Pennsylvania, with our current makeup, that you know, she would go to Washington and talk about how horrible the law was. So it is what it is. The next day they met with governors, and then the following day they actually met with folks within the industry. So, you know, the governors and the purpose of the Health Committee is to really try to see how they can stabilize this individual market, make sure that those cost share reductions are provided and that there is more flexibility approving those Section 1332 waivers. So again, what will come out of it, I don't know. I thought it was interesting that I awoke to a headline on an article that says Medicare for all or state control, healthcare plans go to extremes. Well, isn't that the truth? So it seems like tweaking or repealing the current ACA probably isn't going to happen, which we kind of already assumed that, but Bernie Sanders is releasing, and I'm jumping down here to a separate bullet point, but Bernie Sanders is introducing a Medicare for All bill. His co-sponsors, not surprisingly, include Kamala Harris from California, Cory Booker from Jersey, and Senator Elizabeth Warren from Massachusetts. He now has 12 co-sponsors, maybe even more by this morning. Will it go anywhere? Probably not. Even Schumer and Pelosi are saying it probably won't happen. And then, of course, the Graham, Cassidy, Heller, Johnson draft, which is right up here. Senator Lindsey Graham and Senator Bill Cassidy, along with Heller and Johnson, are proposing a draft to repeal certain parts of the ACA, the immediate repeal of the individual tax penalty, allows for state grants to implement health plans, giving the state grants versus, keeping it on the federal level, and then, of course, include the 1332 waiver options. The draft attempts to also achieve parity in federal funding between the states that expanded and those that didn't. Of course, Pennsylvania did expand. So a lot of activity going on, and who knows where it will go. My head certainly is spinning trying to keep up, and hopefully we'll have something to relieve some of this craziness in the market. We did, for those of you that did attend our Medicare conference, our Medicare Connections conference, and our Leaders Conference last week, thank you so much for attending. For those that attended the Geisinger, Capital, or Highmark breakout sessions, they did talk a little bit about their strategy, and what I found interesting is that they filed basically two separate rates if the cost share reductions and mandate would be enforced, and rates if they would not be enforced. So, it's still very much up for grabs, and not sure what the market's going to bring. I can tell you that there are some opportunities in the individual market. I just don't think that the opportunities are going to be with the carriers. I think it's going to be what we saw last year, where folks that were unsubsidized or not heavily subsidized could not afford the premiums that they were being offered, and took their chances and said, well, we're just going to take our chances and pay the tax penalty and purchase something that's affordable. I do have a solution, and I'll jump down here. National General short-term medical product. They just announced that as of 1/1/18, when you make application online, that you can actually choose 4 consecutive policies, 89 days each. So each policy only runs for 89 days, and then the subsequent policies, but right up against that effective date, it does reset deductible, of course, and pre-X, but it's a simple way to get, essentially a year's worth of coverage with some risks, but a year's worth of coverage that's commissionable. And in addition, since it's an online process, there are also products that you can bundle with it, such as, accident, dental, etc. So I do think that that's an opportunity because, again, folks are going to do what they're going to do. And we sold an awful lot of short-term towards the end of the year last year because of folks not being able to afford the premium. So it is an option. If you want some additional information, please keep watching or give us a call and we can give you the information that we have at this point. Capital, I mentioned this before. If you are not setting up eGEMs with your new groups or your renewing groups, please do so. You need to start doing that. As of 1/1, there are a lot of features that Capital is going to force upon you and upon us through eGEMs. It's just a much more convenient way of working and supporting the group. So please start doing that. There is also going to be a new form as of 1/1 with the BOR that will include access to eGEM. So, again, they're trying to tie up some loose ends, and it's certainly going to benefit everyone. 8/31/17, the U.S. District Court granted summary judgment to a coalition of 55 business groups, effectively nullifying the DOL exempt versus non-exempt employee overtime rules. So as we all know, last year it was delayed, which would have raised the salary for the non-exempt employees. And so that was delayed, which everyone was happy about. The DOL has 60 days from this judgment to respond, but essentially if they don't, then it's a done deal. We never have to discuss it again, which certainly helps most employers in Pennsylvania. Moving on, we hear a lot about Reading Health Systems. They are to purchase 5 hospitals. Let me get to that. Those hospitals are Pottstown Memorial, Brandywine Hospital, Phoenixville, Jennersville Regional, and Chestnut Hill Hospital. So they are purchasing these hospitals. They are Reading Hospital and their subsidiary. They are subsidiaries of the Tennessee-based Community Health Systems. So watch for information on that. UPMC is also partnering with Reading Hospital, Reading Health System. So when those products will be available for 18 or 19, I'm not certain, but you know, again, we're watching that, and we're watching for those new products because there will be new products. Their new name is going to be Tower Health, so please be mindful of that. And we've all seen a lot of news recently on UPMC Pinnacle. They've changed their names. The Pinnacle Hospital Systems now include what are formerly Carlisle, Osteopathic Hanover, Harrisburg, Lancaster Regional, or Pinnacle Lidditz, formerly Heart of Lancaster, and then Lancaster Regional, the Memorial Hospital of York, and the West Shore Hospital. So those are now all named UPMC Pinnacle. Highmark also came out and basically said that they have announced a long-term agreement that lasts until June of 2025 to partner with UPMC Pinnacle. So your Highmark folks that are out there will receive essentially seamless transition to UPMC Pinnacle. Again, I don't think that's the end of all this transition, but the good news is that it's not, you know, exclusive to UPMC, which would have been pretty detrimental for most of us in this area. And training. There is a lot of training coming up, as you may imagine, with 2018 group products and the individual product strategy coming up. So Cap Blue Cross, they are going to have their small group training sessions. It is in this week's newsletter. It's 8 to 9:45 on September 20th in the Saucon Valley, or on the 27th in Enola. And then there's also a webinar on October 4th from 9 to 10:30. I would encourage you to look at this week's newsletter and register for one of those events, just to stay abreast. Also within the invitation is a 2018 small group product grid for Capital. So again, that could come in handy. UPMC is also offering training. They are offering it at the Doubletree by Hilton Hotel and Suites in Pittsburgh downtown. That's October 27th from 7:30 to 11:30. And there's a trade show and presentation of the 2018 producer kickoff. So if you have any interest in that, again, please look at my newsletter and register for that. One last thing, at noon today, I'm having there is a webinar. The invitation is in my newsletter. It's HR 360 is offering a webinar specific to ERISA. It starts at noon. So again, if that is something that you have an interest in learning more about, please check out my newsletter and register for that event. And that brings us up to the end of our agenda. Let's see if we have any questions. It does look like we do have some. Let's see where we're at. Michelle asks, do you know when UPMC will offer plans in the Central PA area? That's a really great question, Michelle. I can tell you that they are not in their expansion territories. They are not planning on using general agencies, even if you are affiliated with, you know, a Western PA general agency for UPMC. Their expansion counties in Northeast and towards the East are not GA driven. However, I am in contact with them, obviously, and they said that product information would be available after 10/1. I will gladly pass that on to you once I have it, but that's best estimate of when we'll have the information. And Sean asks if the Cap Blue Cross Small Group webinar will be available via recording. I don't know, Sean. I'm not watching it. Typically, I'm not running it. I am watching it, however, and typically they do record it. So I can find that out for you and get back to you. And Joe is asking, which carrier stated at the conference that they are pulling out of the shop? That is Highmark. So Highmark will have no shop plans. And I don't think there are too many shop plans out there anyway. Shop will be different this year if there is anything available for shop plans. And essentially it starts with registration on the marketplace, but then all the paperwork, et cetera, is kind of business as usual directly through the carrier. But anyway, we'll get more details on that as well. And Joe says, from what you know so far, can you summarize which carriers are going to pay on renewal versus new biz effective 1/1 for individual? Sure. What I know is that it is very likely that Highmark and Capital will keep their same strategy and pay only on renewals. UPMC individual is paying compensation, but it is limited to network. And it is reduced, and Geisinger would keep their same strategy. I've heard that. And Aetna is not in the market, so it's not looking pretty. That's why I threw out that National General option, because I do think just, again, it's not, you can't guarantee that the tax penalty will not be enforced, but it does give you an option to sell something that your clients want when they look at those pricing strategies from the marketplace. If they're going to purchase it anyway, which they did, then they certainly can purchase it through you as easy as anyone else. And another thing on this National General, you sign up once, so those gatekeeper questions are going to be valid for all 4 contracts. So it's kind of a once and done deal, which makes it very convenient. Again, if you want more information on that, let me know. So that brings us up to the end of the webinar. I truly appreciate everyone joining in. For those of you that did attend our seminars last week, thank you so much for your time and your attention and your attendance. And I look forward to more questions. And I will be back here on Thursday, the 21st, next Thursday, for hopefully more information, hopefully more direction from the carriers and from Washington. But at this point, I just thank you all for joining in, and I wish you all a great balance of the week and a wonderful weekend. Bye-bye.